Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. If you guys didn't know, these last 2 weeks from War Thunder have been completely wild, and in this video I will be kind of going over a synopsis of exactly what's been happening in War Thunder, because with the exception of what happened in May with the protest, this might be the craziest week, possibly 2 weeks, in War Thunder's history. It's just been completely wild, a lot of controversy, so let's just kind of jump into it. Again, I'll try to make this a relatively quick synopsis. First and foremost, another leak, actually kind of two leaks. So we have the M2A2 Bradley. Apparently sensitive documents were leaked about the hatch of the vehicle, turret assembly, and Spall liner assembly, which is just wild. We don't even have the M2A2 Bradley. We have the M3 Bradley, not the M2A2, which is just stupid. And then further, I guess last week, there were also potential leaks of the VT4, which is a Chinese MBT. Just, again, completely wild, but this is the sort of stuff that happens. You are not going to go more than a few weeks at this point without having more sensitive or classified documents being leaked in a War Thunder forum, because that's just how these players are, I guess. Second, and this is some good news, there have been a lot of cheaters that were banned. I mean, probably about the most cheaters at any one time in War Thunder's history, and this includes people using bots as well. So about 6,800 people were banned, and they also released a full list of the banned players, and some of these people were completely obvious. I mean, you could just tell based on their usernames. But one of the funniest things about this is that because so many of them were Chinese, or at least they spoke Chinese, there were some of them who were trying to bribe Gaijin by buying more GJN or more Golden Eagles, whatever the case may be. Some of them were basically trying to buy their way out of this ban, which is just hilarious to me. Next up, we have probably their most controversial thing this week, straight from Gaijin, and that is the fact that they are doing some funny things with the Abrams. Let's just go with that. Now, they're basically saying that the 120mm Abrams, this is really cool actually if you like playing the Abrams, the top reload speed went from 6 to 5 seconds. So it's a pretty big jump in reload speed and how many shots you can fire per minute. So that's a really, really cool thing. However, and this is one of the craziest things I've seen from Gaijin in a long time, they really don't want to increase the armor effectiveness of this vehicle and some other things as well. So it says, I'll just read this straight from the dev blog. It says, the first consideration is the addition of a new M829A3 shell, which we've seen requests and suggestions for. We've discussed this option, but the addition of the shell in comparison with the M829A2 will not enhance the Abrams capability against top-tier vehicles that are equipped with modern armor and built-in ERA systems. That's, I don't know how, but okay. We're still considering the possibility of adding the M829A3 shell, but as a first change, we're going to increase, as I mentioned before, the rate of fire of first stage ammo from 6 to 5 seconds per shot on an ace level crew. And besides, this just increases it overall. It's not like you have to have an ace level crew to get the benefit, it's just that's where the biggest benefit is. But probably the funniest and most controversial thing here is, it says, we'll soon be releasing a devlog on the whole armor of the M1 Abrams series of tanks, where we'll explain why we believe the whole armor was not reinforced on production vehicles. Yeah, so the weight on these vehicles keeps going up, but they're like, you know what, it's probably just fairy dust being stuffed in there. Yeah, okay, Gaijin. Like, why else would the weight be going up by literally tons per variant of this vehicle in most cases, and you're not seeing like an increase in armor? Does that really make any sense, Gaijin? And a few days ago, actually, I made a post, a community post saying I'm not going to rage bait this channel, I'm not going to do this, that, or the other thing, but I've been really thinking about this, and you know, with everything else that's been going on, again, I felt like a video covering all of it would probably be necessary rather than having an individual video for each individual topic. That's just absurd. But, you know, one video covering everything, the volcano has exploded, so to speak, right? Like, this is basically all the pressure that's built up. It's already gone past critical mass, so I felt like a video was warranted. But getting back to the video, Gaijin is, however, adding Spall liners for the Ariat, the Merkava, and the Leclerc. So they're not adding it for some vehicles like the Abrams, which apparently do have Spall liners, but no, they are adding it for the Ariat, Merkava, and Leclerc. And it's funny, too, because at top tier, like, there have been several charts that have tracked the win rate of every nation, and by far and away, the worst ranked nation in top tier ground is US. Like, they have the worst win rate of every nation by a pretty decent margin too. It's like around 40%, I think, whereas other nations are hovering around 50+%, which is just absolutely wild. Next up, we have Aviation, and so battle rating 12.7. Gaijin has determined that the battle rating should not be increased from 12.3 to 12.7, and really found that the only aberration in this is the JAS 39. Personally, I don't think that we should be looking at it like, oh, well, you know, top tier vehicles are the only reason why we should increase battle rating. There's still a lot of decompression we should be looking at. I mean, there's no reason why a Super Saber should be facing all aspect AIM-9Ls. There's no reason for that. There's no reason why a lot of those planes should be doing that. So either we should really be focusing on fixing the BRs within the current range, or also increasing the battle rating and then spreading out vehicles a little bit more, because right now it's just absolutely wild. And, you know, Gaijin has made the claim in the past where it's like, oh, well, you know, queue time might go up. First and foremost, I've actually asked people before on my channel, would you care if queue time went up? I think most people, the vast majority of people actually said no. They'd rather have BR decompression. But secondly, we are now at an all-time record for players. I've seen over 200,000 concurrent players in War Thunder on the top left. Like when you get into War Thunder, it says players online. I've seen that many times over the last week. A few months ago, that would have been inconceivable. The whole queue time excuse is just absolutely ridiculous in my opinion, and we really do need more decompression. Just forget about it. Looking at just top tier, look at it for the rest of the tech tree, especially when it comes to those forgotten BRs around like 8.3 through like 9.3 or 9.7. Those BRs have been forgotten about, unfortunately, it seems like, by Gaijin, which, by the way, there are a ton of awesome aircraft, like the Century series of aircraft, that Gaijin could add in those BRs, but they just aren't doing it for whatever reason. But that's beside the point. And then finally, we have the Tornado IDS WTD 61, which is, well, it's not a very good premium. So actually, I've got a review on this coincidentally coming out tomorrow, and this is currently an 11.0 BR vehicle. Now, just reading it off exactly what Gaijin said, it says, we decided not to expand the range of weapons of the Tornado IDS WTD 61, since we're not sure that this aircraft could carry a targeting pod and guided bombs. However, we're closely monitoring this aircraft's performance and are ready to make other changes if necessary. So if you guys don't know, the IDS WTD 61 can literally only carry 1,000 pound bombs. That's it. That's a secondary loadout. You have parachute bombs and regular freefall bombs. That's it. There's no guided weapons. There's no rockets. None of that. It's just 1,000 pound bombs, and I guess if you want to consider it as well, AIM-9Ls and drop tanks. That's it. It really, really sucks. So the plane itself, performance-wise, isn't absolutely terrible, but otherwise it's just not very competitive, largely because of the weapons that it carries. It just doesn't have anything in which it just stands out from other vehicles. Plus, it doesn't have standard onboard countermeasures, which really sucks at 11.0 PR, but at least you have the pods that you can equip to the wings, so I guess there's that. But either way, there has been a lot going on in War Thunder over the last week, 2 weeks even, again, all the way from the leaks for the Bradley, the VT4, the Spall liners, the cheaters, BR, all these crazy things. Again, one of the craziest weeks in War Thunder. And like I said before, I originally was not going to make a video on any of this, but there's been so much going on that I figured I had to cover all of it in a single video, again, rather than giving an individual video for each individual thing, because ultimately I don't want to be considered a news channel, but when enough news does come out, I may as well mention it, because there's a lot of people who might not know that this stuff is going on. But either way, thanks so much for watching. If you don't mind, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, especially if you want to see that Tornado IDS WTD 61 review tomorrow. But thanks again, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone. So something really funny just happened here as I was literally uploading this video. A new devlog came out about the hull armor of the M1 Abrams, and I'll just go over this really quickly because this is probably the thing most people are pissed off about when they're going to be looking at my video, or at least most curious about. And so let's just kind of go over this word by word, and I'll just read through this really quickly. It says, we've seen a lot of topics regarding the armor of the Abrams series of tanks, more specifically the presence of depleted uranium armor, and so we'd like to share our data on the subject. Most sources on radiation safety safety clarify that the only threat to personnel is posed from armor packages in the cheeks of the turret. The M1A2 Abrams in War Thunder has uranium armor in the turret cheeks. We're aware that several experimental vehicles of an unspecified modification of the Abrams were equipped with the reinforced depleted uranium armor in the hull. However, even though armor was reinforced on these experimental variants, we have no sources that clarify which specific Abrams versions of the Abrams these were. And as such, we can't confidently state that any of the Abrams versions we have in War Thunder received the specific hull armor reinforcement. And again, they provide a lot of documentation. It says the documents presented in the reports we currently have don't provide clear evidence of depleted uranium being present on the M1A2 SEP V1 or SEP V2 modifications. A significant increase in mass which would accompany strengthening the armor with high density fillers is also not observed in the SEP V1 or SEP V2 versions. Additionally, a significant weight increase from such an armor package would lead to overloading the first pair of torsion bars, which already are under an increased load on the M1 series due to the placement of the frontal armor being positioned significantly far towards the front of the hull, as well as the large armored fuel tanks on either side of the driver. The implementation of low-density, mass-efficient fillers would inevitably require an increase in size, which is not observed on the serial modifications of the M1 Abrams. And then it goes from here into, various sources that people have been providing, and basically it's just saying that either they're not specific enough or they don't have enough reliability, whatever the case may be. So let's just kind of jump over to this last section here. It says, if we consider other projections, possible changes to the armor of the Abrams over its various modifications may not have directly resulted in an increase in the actual protection of the armor itself. These changes could rather have been aimed at increasing the armor filler's survivability upon impact, which is an element not currently modeled in War Thunder. Because of this, without hard numbers and solid facts confirming a tangible increase in protection, we cannot alter the protection currently offered by the armor on the M1 series. However, this is not the end of our attention on the Abrams, as we'll continue to look at all declassified and publicly available information we can regarding its protection. Trust me, guys, with all the leaks that have been going on, you'll be getting a bunch of classified information as well. Don't worry about that, not that you can use it. And it says, we fully appreciate the discussion. If in the future an increase in protection can be validated and corroborated from available sources, we'll take action on it. So basically what they're saying is they're not going to increase the armor protection, at least on the whole of the Abrams. So this thing is still going to be basically just easily pennable. We'll have to wait and see what this means, if they're going to increase it at all, if they're just going to give you a mercy increase in armor, who knows, but yeah, they are not going to increase the whole armor of the Abrams because the sources provided just aren't specific enough. So we'll have to wait and see. So either way, thanks again, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone, and I guess stay away from the Abrams.